Hey folks, Jared Clark here. Lord put it on my heart to start a ministry and start a ministry page, and I'm going to start with my testimony and and parts of it. I'm going to try to post a short video, um, 10, 15 minutes long, because that's about what my attention span is. so um, so about 3 years ago, um, my whole family just kind of started falling apart. Had a really rough go of things with my daughter. Um, we started we started going to church in February of 2018, and I'd go to church and hear the music and just cry and wonder, is God going to help me here? Um, my daughter's story is her story, so I'll just leave it as she was sneaking out in the middle of the night, and it was really a struggle. It was really hard on us, and I was crying out to God for mercy. And finally, we had one big last incident that caused us to take a hard look at where we were as a family and decide that we need to send our daughter away. And we sent her to a um, wilderness camp in Utah. I loaded up in a truck and went and picked up my dad, and him and I team drove all the way to Utah and dropped her off with some strangers at a wilderness camp. It was really hard. A lot of things happened. Not going to pull any punches here. Or she beat on me and told me she hated me, and in the same note, she told me she'd love me and that she would do better. And it really absolutely broke my heart. It was very traumatizing, and um, it hurt me bad. Well, all the while I was trying to manage my work life and all this stuff while everything was going on, and I was trying to cover it up. It was just I was just really really hurt, and I decided that I needed to seek some counseling to figure out what's going on, and I made an appointment with a Christian counselor, and the big part of this is that I never really understood faith, never really had a lot of guidance growing up. Was baptized into the Catholic Church, and we went every Sunday and did our duty, but for the most part, never really did a lot of exploring on building a true relationship with Jesus, and I didn't really know what that looked like. We tried to go to church a few times and kind of fill in the blank and check the mark, and um, anyway, so back on counseling, I started therapy right away, and um, sometime in September, I was just really spiraling out of control. I was feeling, I was feeling some suicidal tendencies. Had a lot of stress, a lot of angst. Really busy at work, and I was just using that to cover up the pain. And It was really miserable. And so we had a parent workshop where we had to go and see Haley, and we flew to Las Vegas, went to her wilderness camp, and then transferred her to a Christian boarding school in Montana. Took her there after her 10 weeks of wilderness, and that was in September. And then we had to go and fly back up there for a parent workshop in October. Well, about a week before the parent workshop, I had a counseling appointment, and I went into her office, and I just noticed coincidences. It's the only way I can explain it is that I just really felt like there was people that were reaching out to me that really had no idea what was going on in my life. Um, and I was able to express myself a little bit with them, tell them about my pain, but it wasn't apparent to me what was going on. And I set my counseling appointment, and my therapist, I told her about all this stuff. I said, I keep noticing these people that are reaching out to me, and I don't understand this. I was just so spiritually immature that I had no idea that these people were reaching out, that God was, that the prayer was interceding, and that was a consequence of people's prayer for us. And and she just said something. She just said, you know what that is? And I was like, no, I really don't. And she said, that is God pursuing your family. And it absolutely melted me. I I just melted emotionally in tears. And at the end of the appointment, she said, you should read this book. I think you should read this book. And she gave me a book called The Ragamuffin Gospel by Brennan Manning. It's a book written by a priest that was defrocked. He struggled with alcoholism, and he was just a he was just a train wreck, like a lot of us are. So, um, my wife went out and bought me a Bible, got me a custom one with my name embroidered on it and everything, and we started reading the Bible together. We started reaching out to God, and that was on a Monday, whenever the counseling appointment was, and on Saturday, um, there was just something weird going on. I don't know. I just felt funny that day. Maybe it was a little anticipation of what was going on, whatever. And so, first thing happened is we went to a Walmart and I went shopping for groceries because our little boys were going to be staying at home with Grandpa. And I was walking through the frozen aisle, and there was a guy with a name tag on his Walmart smock that said ABBA. Well, I've never heard that name. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't realize what the reference was there. So I just kind of filed it and went along, and I was like, I wonder why my mind took a picture of that name tag. So we go home, we unpack the groceries, and Lindsay and I load up and we head to the airport. And we get to the airport and decide we're going to have us a nice dinner before we get on the plane. And I get into Papado's, a seafood restaurant, and sit down. And I decided I was going to order a crab meat salad. At this point, I'd also drew a line in the sand and decided that I was going to stop drinking alcohol, and until my baby came home. And I just needed to do something. And so I went, ordered the crab meat salad. The waiter came up about halfway through, and he says, "Hey, you know that crab meat salad comes with shrimp on it, right?" And I was like, "No," but he's like, "Is that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." So we go down, we eat our dinner, everything's great, and we go out in the terminal, and we read Lindsay and I read the Bible together. Well, um, we go to board on the plane, and I suddenly realized that I need something to read, and it popped in my mind of what my therapist had told me to read, that book, The Ragamuffin Gospel. So I downloaded it. We get on the plane and we taxi out. And as we taxi out, suddenly the plane stops. The pilot comes on board and he says, "Hey folks, we got a storm coming in. We're going to stop on the taxiway and wait till the storm blows over. So I start reading this book, and I had never really prayed to God in my life, really, that I could remember, except for maybe when I was a kid with the typical Our Fathers and Hail Marys and all that. And I would hope and I would ask for things, but I never really just earnestly prayed to God for it. So the storm blows over, and it was windy, it was nasty, it was a rough little storm, and we go to taxi out, and we go to take off, and the plane does that porpoising thing as it takes off, and I didn't like it. So I grabbed a hold of my wife's hand and I prayed to her. I prayed to God, and I just said, God, please get us there safe. I want to see my daughter, and this is worrying me. And so we flew up and around the storm, and flew to Spokane, Washington. And while I was there on the plane, I started reading this book. And as I was reading, I came across this passage from the Ragamuffin Gospel. But sometimes I get so involved with myself that I start making demands for things I think I deserve, or I take for granted every gift that comes my way. Classic case. Man in a restaurant orders a crab meat salad. Mistakenly, waitress brings shrimp salad. Livid, angry man roars, "Where the hell's my crab meat?" Somehow life owes him a crab meat salad. He takes for granted not only the shrimp salad, but so many other gifts: life, faith, family, friends, and talents. So I'm just sitting here in this horrible state of mind from everything that happened with my daughter, just a train wreck. And this passage pops up in this book. And I hadn't felt that kind of exhilaration in several months. Like, I just felt like, wow, this is amazing. What are the chances of me going to a restaurant, ordering a crab meat salad, waiter brings up shrimp, and then boom, here's this passage in this book. Now, some folks might dismiss that as just being childish or chance or whatever, but in my state of mind, that gave me hope. Absolute hope. And because honestly, I didn't want to live. I didn't want to be there anymore. And so I kept going in the book, and the next passage I came across, y'all remember the storm, right? The next passage I came across was, there was a time in the not too distant past when a thunderstorm caused grown men to shudder and feel small. But God is being edged out of this world by science. The more we know about meteorology, the less inclined we are to pray during a thunderstorm. Airplanes now fly above, below, and around them. So I was, needless to say, those two passages set me on a course of finding faith in God. That night, when I went to bed, that entire night and that entire week was absolutely incredible, miraculous. The coincidences, the God-coincidences, or however you want to say it, was remarkable. And that night, when I went to bed, in the middle of the night sometime, I'm not sure when it was, I saw a flash of bright light, and it filled up my entire spirit, soul, however you want to phrase it. It was bright, and I saw images of a couple of loved ones that had passed. I saw them. I saw their spirit form, or I saw whatever it was. I don't know what it was. Alls I know is that it was just a clue, a hint of things to come. And so um, I'm at 15 minutes right now, so this is just the first video of many that I plan on sharing. I I hope this fills you up with some hope and builds your faith, and we'll keep doing this. So this is just the initial installment. Our ministry is going to be called Glory 209 Ministries. I'll explain some of that later, where the name comes from. But for the time being, I'm just going to pray out and go from there. So, God, thank you so much for building my faith and giving me this platform and this ministry to share my testimony of your glory, Lord, and all that you provide for me, my family, my friends, and everyone around me. I'm so grateful in my heart for you. And God, please just bless whoever sees this, and let it be something that builds their faith like it did mine. Thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Peace, hope, and love, peoples.